So former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said that the State Department's new senior DEI hire will destroy the Foreign Affairs Agency and make America less safe. Let's talk about it on Azimuth Podcast. I'm Barrett McNabb, and with me is my wife, Kimberly McNabb.
After a 10-month vacancy, Zacchaeus Carr Johnson was hired by the State Department last week as Chief Officer of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. I mean, really, if a position's vacant for 10 months, is it really necessary?
I think not.
I mean, come on. If a hospital loses its head surgeon, they're going to try to fill that pretty quickly.
Right. Well, she's been known to say that the U.S. represented a failed historical model. That's something that you definitely want to be forward in your diplomacy efforts. But she's said that the United States is embedded with racism, colonialism, and other isms. Carr Johnson has also called for tradition to be dismantled. Diplomacy is a tradition in the State Department, right?
Yeah. We usually espouse that one.
Yeah.
Well, Pompeo warns that this will destroy the State Department and, frankly, the capacity of America to deliver the diplomacy that other nations around the world are counting on.
Right. Now, America should not be represented by individuals who hate America, like Carr Johnson. But the State Department spokesman Matthew Miller responded that there are different ways to love America. It's almost as if it is like a spousal abuse. The reason I beat you is because I love you so much.
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking about love languages where, some people prefer gifts, some people prefer, acts, some people prefer, people who just flatter them all the time,
right.
And that's their love language. Some people say chocolate's my love language. But I think it's pretty specific with the State Department. You're representing America.
To not hate America?
I mean, come on. Do you want your lawyer who represents you in court to not hate you at least? I mean, come on.
Could you imagine your attorney in a court case leaning over to you exactly and saying, "Hey, by the way, I hope we lose."
This guy's a douchebag.
Yeah, exactly. So Pompeo believes that Carr Johnson will have this demoralizing effect on the State Department staff and will cause a lot of intellectual horsepower to leave the agency. She's going to have her hand in promotions because imagine, no, we can't pick you because you didn't say the right thing about your pronouns, or you're not in a favored group, and therefore you can't get promoted.
You're white. Uh-oh.
Yeah, exactly. Under the Biden administration, the State Department implemented a mandate that all employees must show documentation that they are committed to DEI in order to be eligible for promotion or higher pay.
Now,
wow.
At your last position, weren't you required to do some 360 reports or something?
Yeah, so just as I was past maybe 2 years before I retired in 2015, so I think it started in 2013 and was going through 2015, these self-assessments. And just to let you know, everybody is busy in the Army. And everybody is busy in the State Department. And so adding things on that you have to jump through these gates and these hoops in order to do something that's not related to your job, it just adds on to the workload. So the Army, we have work to do. But this 360 assessment, you had to send emails and invites to people that outranked you, various people throughout your career. I believe it was 5 or so. You had to send 10 emails to your peers for whom you worked with in the past. And then you had to send 5 emails to people that were your subordinates and worked below you. Now, the purpose of these was for them to then log on to the Army 360 evaluation system and rate you on, how your leadership style is and how effective you are and things like that. It was just an absolute burden. So can you imagine the emails to your peers, 10, and there's 700,000 people in the Army, and you're sending out all of these. All you were doing was filling out these stupid 360 surveys, and work still had to get done. And so I can only imagine what the Army is now, because there's a lot of DEI push in the Army, in the military as well, in DOD, and I can only imagine all of the crap that you have to go through. And it's the same thing for the State Department. They're just having to have this added on to their already overworked workload.
Well, even if someone likes the whole DEI push, you have to acknowledge that human beings can only juggle so many things. And typically people can get a little resentful when you add to their list of things to do. They don't want more work to do if they're already busy, especially. Or even if they're not busy, they still don't want more work to do. But even if you like DEI, people can only prioritize so many things. We can only have so many spinning plates up in the air. And, it may be one of the older ones like meritocracy that gets dropped. And then they're not doing their job.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this all came to be the former DEI chief, Gina Abercrombie Winstately, is quoted to say, we made a change that if you wanted to be considered for promotion at the Department of State, you must be able to document what you're doing to support diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility. This is going to be how you are judged for promotion. This sounds a lot like a communist Chinese social credit score to me.
Exactly. I can't imagine that would inspire people to respect you when you do get promoted.
Yeah, it's just one of those things like, oh, you're a Christian, I'm sorry, you're not going to get a promotion. Oh, you're white, definitely not getting a promotion. Asian, not getting a promotion. And so you're going to have people that are just going to leave. And that is going to be a brain drain on a very important leg of the executive branch of the federal government. And it's, our foreign diplomacy.
Yeah, and, a lot of other countries don't think this way. And so if it's the people that think this way that are representing us and doing the diplomatic roles and interacting with people overseas, they're going to either be confused or not like America very much.
Yeah,
what the
exactly.
crap is this Orwellian crap? They ask me what my pronouns are.
Right. And the problem here is Biden has made it more difficult for these federal employees to be terminated. And that's one of the things that Trump is campaigning on, is that he wants the ability to weed out some of these long-term civil servants that have just been embedded in their particular agencies. And this would be an example of that, I would think. But what does Zakiya Carr-Johnson stand for? Well, she's bounced between DEI jobs at the State Department, and even prior to that, Johnson was a defender of Brazil's Marxist president in the past. In a 10-minute video of intersexual feminism she made in 2020, she's quoted of saying, "In order to make any change, we literally have got to be about dismantling the traditional structure at every juncture." She wants to burn America down.
That reminds me of the Obama saying that he was going to fundamentally transform America.
Right.
If you love something, do you really want to fundamentally change it? What if I said, Barrett, I want to fundamentally change you? What does that mean? Totally different personality or what?
Well, you have especially Michelle Obama saying that she did not love America only until her husband was elected president. That's what changed her mind.
That's the couple we voted to represent us.
Yeah, exactly. And so, so there's nothing redeeming about America before then. And I think Carr-Johnson is the same thing. It's like a child saying,
"Oh, I don't love mommy because she won't give me ice cream."
Right. But daddy gives me ice cream, so I'm going to give him all my
daddy.
love. Yeah. Well, Carr-Johnson subscribes to critical race theory. It's the same philosophy that's making white people apologize for being white. And there are videos of blacks screaming at whites, and whites are not allowed to speak. There's even a video I've seen where a white person has to sit on a stool, and black people are going up and lightly slapping. That's called assault, but hitting people. There are videos online of white women kissing black people's shoes.
That makes me think of like the prostitute in the Bible, like crying on Jesus's feet and, washing his feet with their tears and drying his feet with her hair. Come on. Come on. You're not Jesus.
Well, the biggest thing is there is so much opportunity to have race conversations as it is to demean another race, causing further division.
Yeah, that's just going to make people resent you.
Right, and then it becomes, again, if we're starting to do this in the State Department, you're going to have this exodus of talent that are just like, I can do. First of all, I can make a lot more in the private sector, but I'm not going to have to do this. So, I mean, these are not dissimilar struggles.
Struggle sessions.
Yeah, in totalitarianism practiced by Mao in the Cultural Revolution in China.
Yeah, and look where they are now. Do we really want to go on that slippery slope? I mean, these struggle sessions are intended to humiliate and break down a person. Well, okay, if you're making white people apologize for being white, yeah, that's kind of breaking them down, forcing compliance with one's thoughts and speech, and breaking down independent thought. Well, you can't speak out against it. So
right, because you'll get ganged up on. But DEI just divides people into groups and pits them against themselves. And again, that is not a strength. Unity of effort and all of us going to the same goal is a strength.
Yeah, Benjamin Franklin said, we can stand together, together we fall.
Right,
I think is what he said.
Yeah, exactly. But, the getting divided up is similar to the lead up in the Cultural Revolution in China. In communism, divided families against each other, citing wives to complain against their husbands, having children report on their parents and neighbors report neighbors. And now with a security state that China's in and the social credit score, it is easier and easier to do that. You've got cameras everywhere and people can tell on each other with an app. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they, dividing people up. I mean, it's harder to destroy a united public.
Sure.
And it's easier to use a public that hates each other and use them to destroy each other. And guess what? You don't have to do a thing.
Right.
And that's what these Marxist groups do. They see division and they use it. They don't see accumulated growth. They just see divided groups. And they see how it is that we can gain power over other people in a way that's unrelated to any true type of merit.
Yeah, and that's something that Pompeo said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, he also said we must fight, don't give up, but don't let wins get us overly confident either. Yeah. The appointment of Carr comes at a time of increased limitations on DEI. In March, the House of Representatives Office of Diversity and Inclusion was disbanded as part of the government spending bill. And the same thing in the state of Texas. The DEI bill was passed, banning all DEI in public institutions. So
Florida as well, I believe.
Florida as well. So the University of Texas has terminated all of their DEI projects, and some of the students are outraged because there was one female student that was graduating said the only reason she went to the University of Texas is because it had a black-only graduation ceremony. And again, why are we going back to segregation? I mean, we should be celebrating the fact that we are all one and all together and all Americans.
Exactly. Now I do get a little leery when people say, "Oh, we disbanded DEI," because there are other ways of working around.
Sure.
That you could rearrange those, those acronyms. I think the latest one I heard was IDEA, and it had basically the same
right.
idea.
Happy to glad to sad.
Yeah,
wordsmithing.
or one version of it had a B. I forget what that stood for. So
belonging.
I hope. Yeah, belonging. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So I hope when governors like Ron DeSantis and certain colleges and certain groups of government say we disbanded DEI, I hope that the language of whatever bill or rule it is they're passing encompasses. It accounts for any sort of acronym rearrangement.
Yeah, it solves the concept, or eliminates the concept and the idea.
The divisive idea, the Marxist idea is I hope those bills and rules tackle.
Right. Well, we saw this and we thought it was significant enough to bring it to your attention. And thank you so much for watching Azimuth Podcast, and please stay tuned after these messages.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all of the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in.